questions, and it would bring a lot of potential of kind of the products being returned and a lot of risk. So at that point, we decided to not follow that until the next standard comes in that ask for only DC motors in air handlers. We was at the end of almost August that we figured out we are not pursuing that technology. Even everything worked great. The uncertainty came from the type of furnace that was out of our control, and we decided to take the opportunity on basically the COVID situation that everyone wants to know what's in the air, and we transferred that system into a kind of an IoT air quality monitoring and kind of data solution for improving indoor quality, indoor health, and also comfort. So we've developed, and soon we'll be piloting this product to be built in 50 locations across the town. A number of places within City Saskatoon City Hall, some fire halls, restaurants, a bunch of public places, barber shops, like couple residential spaces, and collect all this data that what's exactly happening through different hours. Let's say in school, when the school is busy or not, like what are the levels of CO2? Are the schools having enough ventilation, or the students are too many for the small classrooms? And actually give a very data-driven study about how we could basically improve indoor quality in buildings. And that was something that we've been working since basically August, the last 4 or 5 months. The product right now we have is ready kind of to be manufactured and eventually sell and bring to market. Another product we're looking at is the enterprise level that actually offers for larger buildings, has a different kind of connectivity technology that could go for long range kind of communication. Well, it's been a lot of challenges. I have been actually doing a separate startup at the same time, which is involved building electric vehicles. It's 2.5 years I'm working on that parallel to all my efforts in kind of smart home and IoT side of technologies. And my background is mostly in automotive stuff, and I actually ran a shop, automotive repair shop, for 7 years in town, and getting a lot of experience for doing business. I mean, local small businesses, and also a lot of hands-on experience with a lot of European import vehicles. Lots to learn actually from that industry. And I've been doing this project. Within the next couple of months, we're hoping to have a fully functional electric kind of delivery truck on the road that we could start, kind of marketing and bringing some clients to the table, basically. On both kind of my ventures, I've been always looking for talents, people who are interested in what we're doing and are interested to be a part of our company. I currently, have, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4 students as a part of my team. My team is right now 9 people, so almost half of us are kind of students. But I mean, they hire kind of, third year, fourth year, mostly students. And been always looking for, hiring talents and, expanding my team. So that has been a quick introduction of what we've been doing. As a part of the meeting, I think it would be great to go through a bit of kind of entrepreneurship world for people who honestly haven't stick their toes in that water to see like what actually it takes to be an entrepreneur. I don't want to scare any of you guys, but the realities are kind of hard, and I would like to walk you through what you would expect to happen and what level of readiness you will really require to get into a entrepreneurship kind of game. To start, with a rough idea of failure in startup companies is like, and in hardware space is something around 98% failure. So 1 out of 20 and basically 1 out of 50 respectively in software and hardware are gonna make it to a reasonable place. So it's tough. The stats is tough. The reasons that they fail, there's a variety of reasons. They run out of cash. Lots of it is a lot of kind of human related stuff that the team, they don't match up and all that. But regardless, is challenging. First, like if you are gonna start up and start up, you gotta have an idea about the industry, that exactly what's going on in that industry, and have a really good first-hand information about what's going on in that industry. So let's say if you're from a farm and you're building a farm-related technology, which is really the case in Saskatchewan, and in that situation, I mean, being born and raised in a family of farmers, like, it's a great, asset to have. Like the way I'm doing, I was born and raised in a family of kind of automotive enthusiasts and learned a lot of things from kind of childhood. And having that idea and knowing that industry is really, really important. And studying that, make sure you know who's your competitive landscape, who are you competing against, and all that is really critical. Second thing I would advise is, you need a co-founder or a bunch of co-founders, because there's a lot to be done as a entrepreneur to start everything from scratch, and just one person doing it alone is just going to be too much. Uh, it's going to be challenging. It's going to be pushing you to certain limits that sometimes you know you feel you're going to lose sanity. It's going to be tough. So what I would really recommend is to find a team of co-founders or co-founder that really understand what you're doing, really is interested, that shares the same vision with you, and is really excited, and really loves what you are supposed to, what we are supposed to accomplish, and what's the goal of this execution. So that is really important, and make sure those people, they're not having the same skill set as you got. They gotta be interested in what you're doing and really care about it and love it, but they should have this different discipline and different levels of skills. Because imagine a company that's full of engineers. I mean, that's a scary company, because it's that company needs to have salespeople, needs to have people who do understand the marketing side of things, need finance people, needs a lot of different disciplines, like when it starts to hit the market and launch. During the development, yeah, most of the team could be engineers, but again, you should have a different type of skills levels with your co-founding team, that they could bring some part of things to the table that actually you are not aware of or you're not good at. So that's something that really keep in mind, that you need a little bit of a multidisciplinary founding team, and a bit of how can I say it, a bit of variety of skills that come to the table. And after that, like, I mean, one of the most probably critical things is the financial side of your execution. You want to do in a startup, first of all, you probably are, at this point, might be out of your parents' home, and you need to provide for yourself. So you need somehow to pay your bills and have your daily operations, and also working on building a company that's not going to pay you much for a certain period of time until you develop the company. So finances are really, really important, that how you're basically eating and how you're putting the bread on the table during that time. It's something that you should be figuring out, and should be actually be really caring about. And also your team, your co-found team, same thing. Are they able to really make it, long enough that, you reach somewhere, or halfway through the game, they're going to just get tired of it or not be able to continue and quit, or what's going to really happen? Also, if the idea you're executing on, it's a large idea that needs, multiple people, how are you finding these people, and how are you bringing them into your company, and actually how you incentivize these people to go through a type of job that might not pay much, and might be a lot of work. I mean, if you are looking into a sort of an 8 hours job, 5 days a week, probably you're not an entrepreneur. You gotta be, what I've been doing, 12 to 14 hours a day, uh, at least six, but majority of the time 7 days a week, and it's going to be challenging. It's let's say, I don't want to tell you how pissed off my wife is about what I'm doing, but it's tough. I mean, it's there, it's going to bring a lot of challenge and stress to the family as well. But anyway, she's still understanding me and trying to accommodate what I'm planning to achieve, and kind of shares the same vision with me, which is something really important. If you are married, you got kids, or if you have a girlfriend, whatever, like, I mean, your couple should be on the same page about this. By the way, I've been married for 10 years. I have an 80 years old boy and a 6 years old girl. So my family is being suffering through all my long hours of working and what I've been going through during the last few years. Um, beside the financials and your founders team, what's really important, in my opinion, also is your employee team. There are a bunch of people who will come into your company that when you are starting to have some source of funds, either through federal sources or through grants, provincial sources from universities, wherever those funds are coming from. These people, there's lots of them that are not entrepreneurs. These people are born to be employees. No matter what you say, they want to just do, if you're lucky, if they do that, they want to work like 8 hours a week and be done 5 days a week. After 4 o'clock, they want to have their phones off and they don't want to be a part of that challenging and very engaging activity of building a company. So these type of people are your employees team, and finding the right people and kind of incentivize them to be a part of a small startup company is a challenge, because to do something great, honestly, if you are doing something great, you need great talents. And to be honest with you, talents are more attracted to large companies that are well established and more stable and all that. And those are more kind of type of things that they are after. So you as a startup, which probably is not very, rich or profitable or any of that at that point, attracting those talents are going to be a challenge, especially in a town like Saskatoon. It's a small province, not many people here, and that even makes it more challenging. So all of that, brings all the kind of challenges that come to the table. And being said, there's all kinds of uncertainties in developing a new business and a new startup. And from the market side, from the technology side, from the all kind of challenges. Right now, we have a lot of challenges with supply chain these days with COVID economy. It's something we could never predict, and now we have all kinds of challenges, all kind of stuff that comes to the table that really slows you down, something that makes you stop, something that makes you just rethink and replan. So if you're not that kind of agile character that really is into solving problems and tackling one thing after the other, probably an entrepreneurship might not be a right choice for you. So it's all those uncertainties, what they bring to the table for human is stress. Like human, when it's in certain situation, the stress level is much lower than when you're in a situation that's uncertain. And how you should cope with that stress, there's three very important things that you should keep in mind with coping with the stress is, coping with the stress is something your body will handle. So it's something physiological that your body should be able to handle it and should take it. In order to really help your body to be able to have those kind of functionalities, you really, really need to do these three things very well. You have to sleep well, you have to eat well, and you have to do enough exercise to keep your body in shape to be able to, tackle all the challenges and put those long hours in. So these three things are really critical. That's something I have problem with the first one and the third one. I sleep pretty well, but I barely eat because I get involved in a lot of deep things and I just forget eating. That has one of the problems I have has been. And also recently I've been not doing much of an exercise. That doesn't help as well. So it's three things that really helps with helping your body to kind of cope with type of challenges that will come your way. And like it's at this point I've been talking like around 20 minutes. We got another 40 minutes. I could go on and on about that. Little details like that might not be the biggest question you have in mind. I think at this point, if you open up to a bunch of questions, that for each question I could spend a decent amount of time answering them and see where actually the most concerns are and where are the areas that the audience would like to know more. To the best of my knowledge, it will be my pleasure to kind of cover those questions and go from there. I'll try to elaborate as much as I can because going on and on entrepreneurship 101 is not really the greatest thing to do. So we'll try to um, try to hear the audience and see what actually is on your mind here.
Sounds good, Soheil. So if there's a particular question from our audience, please unmute yourself, state your name, and state your question.
Hey, Soheil, this is Travis Inglis. Thanks for the presentation in the chat there.
Yeah.
You had an interesting point about how you said, I think you said you had 9 or 10 employees and 4 of them were current students. Is that right?
Absolutely, yeah. There.
Is that a challenge in the engineering world to delegation be the first thing, but like I guess bringing those students up to speed to where they can produce the deliverables or contribute the value that you want out of an employee to add value to your organization?
Well, it is a really good question. The reality is that when you're hiring students, these people, they got courses, they're busy. And I've been a student I did a master's, I've been a student for years. I know what it takes to be a student. They are distracted with work, with studies and school and all that. And you actually should be really patient working with this type of people. And what I've been doing, actually, I've been very, kind of accommodating. I've been, offering all kind of flexible hours of work, and I've been not expecting, 40 hours a week type of thing. I've been expecting, like I said, like if you put anywhere between 10 to 20 hours a week, that'll be good. And the reason I've actually been hiring the students is that, good talents, when they graduate, they quickly get absorbed or hired by an organization. So in order to have those good talents, kind of uh, uh, bring to your the table your company, you have to act a little bit earlier and make sure you find those people and make sure you work with them. You have this great work relationship with them, and basically when they're graduating, they're just coming and joining your company full time. And I do understand like these lots of the students are like, I mean, brand new, they have no experience of working anywhere. Like the last job they had was a delivery job that they were, delivering pizzas, I mean, that type of thing. But they're, highly talented. And the type of things we are doing within the company is not the kind of same old, trivial stuff and, the stuff that's like really clear how it's done. So it needs quite a bit of talent and it's quite a bit of creativity, I guess. And it's having those great talents is really important. One of the other reasons that students has been interesting for my company is actually you have been able to get some funding for hiring youth and students. So that has been one of the ways that I've been tackling my financials on the side of the company. Because like there is a bunch of programs out there that they do promote hiring students or hiring fresh grads because they don't want you with the university degree go and work at the store, go work at Walmart. Like that's not the idea. So they want to help put programs out there that helps you with your first kind of job and experience that a lot of the case has been that. So they have been also affordable for me. That's why I've been always looking for hiring students, and believe it or not, like they've been the way I've been working with these people and managing them, I have been able to, without stressing them, without putting too much pressure on them, just build this great relationship with them and make them excited about what we're doing, incentivize them within the company in different ways, giving them raises and uh, be fair to them, and then absorb those universities, those good talents from universities. So that has been my kind of philosophy about doing that. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, for sure. I think you make a good point that you're not that you're taking a risk, but you are hiring people with lack thereof experience, but passion and I guess
Exactly.
if you can provide any more insight towards again, not that it's you're hiring students, so the risk is rather minimal. It's not going to make or break you, but just into your selection process or your evaluation process, because maybe the 20 or 30 applicants in the playing field looks rather, if everyone is approaching with the same course load or curriculum, and there's no real differentiators from those applicants because they don't have any real experience yet, right?
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. It's lots of the stuff also that happens. Lots of the time that happens. I find a person that's just a good talent. It's just a talented person, smart person, and he has basically minimal experience in what we're doing, but they could pick up stuff really quick and they're moldable. And I don't mind actually providing that on-site kind of training. I don't mind getting these students connected to each other that kind of complete each other and learn from each other. So it's been a part of a major part of what we've been doing is to basically train them to do a certain things. And hiring talent, senior talent is one thing, and building your own talent in-house is another thing. That has been a type of art that I've been trying to do to basically build this this talent in-house. And in order to kind of judge how they are, like I typically very quickly couple of meetings. Doesn't take long for me to figure out you're right candidate for me to work with or not. And luckily so far the people that I have been bringing on board, all of them have been staying with me. Like they're still all a part of the company, so no one has left. All the students have been just working and continuing and doing better over time. And the process is honestly is not because you have the best grades or because you're a very studious student that were on the books all the time. The reality is that when you go in a kind of a real world kind of situation, you have to be able to tackle those problems. And if those problems are well defined and your employer offers you kind of step-by-step kind of directions a bit and holds your hands through the steps while you get a little bit more comfortable into the company, and you could take over a bunch of responsibilities. That training, that helping at the beginning really helps, and that's how we've been doing it. And as long as you're talented and I figure out you're coachable and you're type of character that you'd like to learn and like to excel at what you're doing, that has been the most important thing for me, because as students, they don't have much kind of real world work experience, so it's that's how it's done. So yeah, any other questions potentially?
Hello.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah.
Besides the funding you got from hiring student, what's your other source of your initial funding and your current funding?
Yeah, well, there is a number of funding sources that you could apply for. These programs, they come and go. Lots of them are a type of programs that kind of short term, and there's a number of programs that are kind of long term that they are there. One of the older ones that are very kind of popular program is NRC IRAP. It's a federal program that they look at a number of characteristics for what you're doing, how innovative it is, what's the potential of you being able to market your technology, and looking at your basically idea and team and all that, and kind of investing. The way they're doing it, they provide up to 80% of the salary, just the salary number, not the, remittances and all taxes, none of that. So at the end, turns out to be around 65 to 67% of the salary of your employees. And, the rest, you got to come up with, an idea, either come up with an agreement with the people you're working, or, give them a bunch of, equity within your company, or, have a external source. I own a different business that's still alive, and I've been bringing a lot of that on table from my savings that I have had in the last few years of business that I've done. But those things don't get long. Really, you need to have people that are actively applying for source of funds. And IRAP is among the most popular ones. For the student world, there's different programs called VFC, Venture for Canada. There's a program called Will Digital, is WIL Digital. It's another good program. And there is other programs that are for very fresh grads, like the DS4Y, called Digital Skills for Youth. Being said, IRAP doesn't pay for students; it pays for graduates only. But it's among the programs that we have been using for hiring fresh grads or non-students as a part of that program. And what else source of funding I'm using? We got BFC, DS4Y, Real Digital, Zyrap, and that's basically the 4 or 5 major ones that I've been kind of using. And there is also grants that you could write and get some grant money. Sometimes takes a lot of time, and that highly depends in what kind of sector you are. So if you're in what we're doing on the both of the companies, actually we're in the kind of clean tech world, and that clean tech kind of funds and program is on its own. It's a whole kind of book to study. But again, depends on which field you are. There are dedicated funds to that. And besides, governmental kind of funds and stuff, we're right now working with a number of investors that are interested to invest into the company. And that private investment actually is helping a lot, because there's a lot of other government programs that if you have private investors on table, they will come and kind of match up those investments or give you a grant, or there's a number of ways of somehow matching up those investment money. And that is it about the sources of funding as far as I know. Hope I answered your question. Any other question?
Yeah, thank you for the information.
Yep. Oh, thanks. Yeah, no problem.
Hi, my name is Teddy Okolo.
Yep.
I have two questions. So I understand like you were a master's student and you worked under Professor Simonson and Professor Sand. Okay,
Yep.
so currently a master's student under Professor Simonson.
Okay.
My first question just goes like I was just wondering how, like after your master's and finishing as an international student, how like entering the business world was for you, like the challenges and some of the things like that that you had to, you know,
That transition,
yeah,
how
the
it happened.
transition,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
That's the right word. The
Yeah,
transition.
actually, great question. As I told you, I was born and raised in a family of kind of automotive enthusiasts. So I was just as a kid, I started to work on cars, and I was really, confident doing anything basically to a vehicle. And
Okay.
even while I was a student, one day I remember I took Carrie to my shop. I had a shop at the back in the back alley of my house, and I had at the time like around 10 cars working on them. One day I took him to my whole house and I showed him like, I'm doing all of these, by the way. I'm not hiding anything from you, so I don't want you to hear this from anyone else that your student is doing almost a full-time job on the side. But again, at that time I was still working, 7 days a week and even more. Like sometimes I would go until morning. I would work, all night and all day. It was just, my body could handle it at that time. Right now I'm like
How did you
35,
even manage
60.
with your masters at the time? Like working in Carrie's group and doing your masters, that's a lot.
Well, we had like, I mean, the type of background I had at the university, the education we had, to be honest with you, I mean, I'm being very clear. During my master's, I didn't learn anything here because Canadian universities, the level of education is not comparable to what we had. Like, I mean, the type of math is taught here, lots of it, like, I mean, this calculus and stuff is taught here at the university level. We have had that in the second and third year high school. Like the type of, let's say I had this course of heat transfer with David Torvey. I was a heat transfer TA back home because I was a master's student there too. And I quit and came here for master's. And I was teaching those stuff to undergrad students back home. And even the topics they covered was not even half of what we were taught as a heat transfer course 1 and 2 that we got in undergrad. So the level of education was very different. So studies for me here was not very complicated. Like it's, I did, graduate with like 4 papers. My, article, my thesis was an article based, and like 2 papers were published and great things. But I mean, I had this good background to be able to tackle the studies here. and do far more than that. So it's that was the idea. So during those 2 years of being a student, I was working already on a number of vehicles, and basically the day I graduated, I rented a shop and started an automotive business, which is kind of a weird thing to do. It's like, well, you have a master's of science in engineering, like that's what you should be practicing. So, well, that's one thing I'm passionate about, and I'm doing it. And not that I say I would regret it. I don't regret it at this point because it's a life choice and has come with a lot of experience, right? And I've learned a lot from it. But that was a decision at that moment in my life that I made, and later on I decided I want to do something more kind of knowledge based and bring my kind of that engineering background with my hands-on skills and all that to build something greater and something that actually scales. During my automotive business, I was successful. I was making decent money and all that, but I really wanted to do something that does scale. And that automotive service business, it wouldn't scale because it would just hourly type of work, and was very limited that way. So that transition actually happened over the whole couple of years that I was doing my master's, and I just basically that operation I made it a little bit in a commercial space and made it a little bit bigger, and then went bigger and bigger at that point, and kind of expanded the operation. So. And I was born and raised in a family of kind of businessmen. My dad was a businessman all his life. All my family members are businessmen. So doing business for me was kind of something natural to do, and that definitely helped with the case as well. So.
Okay, my second question is while you were talking about your company, you mentioned something about indoor quality and
Yep.
maintaining better conditions in the
Yep.
space.
Yep.
How exactly does your company do that? Is it by increasing ventilation rates, filters?
Oh yeah. It's right now we're not in the business of actually the filtration part or the venting part. The devices we've built are the monitoring part of things, and they provide data to control systems to basically perform better and do a data-driven kind of job. And the reality is that there's a lot of companies out there that they make filtering systems, they make energy recovery or heat recovery ventilators, those kind of ventilating devices. But these are mostly old school type of businesses and shops that they build these things in a kind of metalworking shop or whatever. And for them, they don't have that technology to show how their devices are improving indoor air quality in a space. Whereas what we've developed here is a sensor board, sensor pack that has IoT functionalities and has a API that could tie into different control systems and all that. So it's a more technology than kind of an old school manufacturing setup, and that's what actually complements what they're doing, because they have these great things that they could potentially work really well, but there's no means for them to show how good their devices are for their clients and prove their performance. And also, they have very limited data to operate off of, because most of them are in retrofit applications, and these buildings, they don't have air quality monitors, and the system we have is all wireless and could basically deploy within a large building and start streaming all that data to a certain API that they could start using and integrating how they're controlling stuff. So.
I see. So basically, instead of a homeowner just believing manufacturers' data or claims on how their systems are improved, they can actually get your kind of systems where which it actually monitors what's
Exactly.
going on in the house and tells you where and what you actually need to improve.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, this first version we have is Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, so it's meant for small businesses and kind of residential applications. Right now, we're working on a different technology that's a kind of a LoRa-based communication, and it could be used for, let's say, a hotel or a hospital or that kind of setup. It's a long range, kind of couple kilometers kind of range, and could be deployed in a large commercial kind of setup or all those kind of applications. So.
Okay, I see what you mean. Well, thank you. You answered my two questions.
No worries. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. My pleasure. Any other questions potentially? Anyone in the audience potentially is interested to do something, has an idea, wants to run his idea by me, potentially has, yeah, any questions?
So that was very thorough. I also want to remind people who are joining us through the streaming. You could also text your questions through the chat, and then
Yeah.
I'll read it to the audience as well.
Yeah, actually, the chat is kind of clear. There's no messages. I've been looking at the chat, but not much going on in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions here? I'm writing on the chat.
I think there are a lot of topics probably for students to consider.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Soheil. Many of our students are actually working on a design, and so this is we have been encouraging them to actually think beyond more academic exercise and trying to think how actually they can bring this to the customer. Can you talk a little bit when you actually starting your business? What's the difference you notice that the project you do in university versus the projects that actually you need to deliver to customer? What are some major points they should watch out for?
Well, actually, the project I was doing during university, it was a practical project that was done for a company that was acquired eventually by another company. And they're using that technology now for kind of cooling data centers of Facebook and Google in Singapore and a couple other countries. It's a technology that offers kind of a evaporative cooling type work. And at that point, I was partially funded by that company in town, and the project I was doing was kind of a practical project. There is a part of assignment type projects that are done in universities that are really cliche and classic, kind of textbook style, that they might not be quite practical in the real world. But I'm not honestly sure how I could answer this because during my experience at university, still I've been working on something practical. But being said, that knowledge that gained through university, all those assignments, and that also that insight that those design and practices brings you is highly valuable, because that insight is actually helps you to deliver results in an industrial and real kind of commercial setup, and in a real company that's trying to achieve certain goals. So don't kind of neglect that. It's something that's really valuable what you learn at university. But university forever is not good. University, you gotta be university like a couple years. You graduate, do your bachelor's, do your master's, you're out. You gotta start being productive, start making money, start bringing your ideas to the real world, and start living actually, not just the student life type of thing. So currently I'm looking for, let's say, a firmware engineer that we could do some firmware, low-level embedded firmware programming. And also I'm looking for a mechanical engineer who is inclined in manufacturing, could run, deal with CNC machines, could run, prototyping, could do good kind of 3D printing work. We have, 3D printers here at the company for prototyping and all that. That's the type of skills that right now I am looking for. But again, you gotta look around depending what discipline you're in to see who we got potential kind of investors, that potential employer that could bring you on board. So
are those opportunities for your HVAC business, or are they for your electric truck group?
Well, there's both. There's and my team, they do work on both because we're dealing with hardware, and with the hardware stuff, lots of times you are waiting for parts to come in. You're waiting for the next revision of board that you have built to come in to test. So if you're not doing multiple things and you're not juggling, it's gonna be really tough, and you're not going to be as productive. But yeah, for both sides, I will be looking for kind of talents that I would like to bring on board. So.
Do you have any sales, or how do you sell?
Well, it's currently we are just in an R&D still. We developed a number of products that we haven't been quite successful in commercializing them. Right now we have, for that pilot project, we've sent them to manufacturing shop. Within the next week we should be receiving those hardware and final assemble them in house and deploy them and give them a real kind of field test, and make sure everything is fine before we mass manufacture them. So we have basically very minimal sales. We have some pre-sales happen to certain clients, but at this point we are really basically considered pre-revenue at this point. But we have kind of when you're building hardware, everyone wants a final finished product. So until you don't have that final finished product, making sales is really complicated, really really complicated. It's not like software that you could mock up something and start running, and then as you go forward you just bring it better. It's like, well, it's going to be free and then it's going to be like this, and like software is really easy to kind of scale because manufacturing software is easy. It's not, you're not doing any material involved, but no material is involved. But hardware is really different game. So on the truck side, we have one of the largest, trucking company in North America, one of the top 100 trucking company that is interested to buy 3 or 4 trucks as soon as we have them ready. And we've been having a number of meetings with them. And for the IoT thing also, we have some investors are interested that they want to also not only have our products as a part of their kind of offerings, also they want to not only be a customer, be a part of the investors because they see potential in that space. So at this point, honestly, we are kind of pre-revenue because from the last pivot we did on the IoT side of things, it's been only 4 months. We've been, juggling to bring that next product to the table, but that's where we're at now. So. I hope I answered your question. Any other questions potentially?
Yeah, I guess I have a question.
Yep.
Like in the beginning of your talk, you're kind of like talking about how like it's important to know your competition, and this your pursuit of this electric truck is quite interesting to me. And like I'm just wondering, like what is that like market or niche market you're trying to target? Is it just like everyone in general? Because like there's definitely no shortage of hype on electric vehicles and
Yeah,
electric
there is a lot
trucks.
of hype, but there's not much of a real great products out there. There's none. The company actually we are right now working with, they've been looking for buying an electric truck for a couple of years with no luck. There's not much out there commercialized. Yeah, if you're interested in that space, you see there's a lot of news, there's a lot of, as you say, hype, but there's not much practically out there. The only company that is having those style of trucks that we are trying to build is Daimler in Europe, under a lineup of product called Fuso, Mitsubishi Fuso. So actually, they bought the Japanese brand of Mitsubishi Fuso lineup of trucks, and they're right now having a number of them piloting in Europe. I think around 700 of them right now. They're sold and being piloted, and they're in the pilot stage. There's absolutely nothing, commercially available in that style. And what we're actually focusing as a niche product is we're focusing on building a product for cold climates. When it comes to electric vehicles, especially commercial vehicles that cannot be parked inside and they're large and they're like all that, making them, practical in low temperatures and making sure you have enough cabin heat in the cabin. You want to have no problems starting in a -40 weather outside when your battery pack is frozen. How we'll do that? It's a lot of technical challenges to address, and that's what we have been kind of working toward. Because yeah, like if you go in places like California, there is, as you say, a lot of hype, a lot of stuff going on, starting to happen. But the current offerings in the market, no one is looking at very seriously at the kind of cold climate solutions the way we are doing it. So we're thinking actually the type of product and type of technology that we're building here in house is going to be superior to any competitor for the cold climate segment of the market. So.
Oh, it's really interesting. Thanks.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah. You decided to reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to meet you and discuss potential opportunities. So.
I wouldn't mind
Yep.
getting your contact information if you don't
Absolutely.
mind.
Like through I could write it here in the chat, and everyone could have it if you wanna write to me. But to everyone, Soheil at homeostasis.tech. Tech. Yeah. Feel free to
Awesome.
send me an
Thanks so
email.
much.
Send me a resume. I'm always looking for that next talent to bring on board. So.
Thanks.
Absolutely. We got another 7 minutes here. I could answer one question in depth, a couple questions quickly. Anyone has any concern? Seems like no questions. Yeah, well, it was good. We've just got another 5 minutes, I guess. But I mean, there's no questions or question comes up later. You want to ask me? You have my connection now. I'll be glad to get connected with you. I've been, looking for local talents, and I'm excited to see all those people that are right now a part of this, entrepreneurship focused kind of course and plan hype that's happening at the University of Saskatchewan. And yeah, it's my pleasure to meet you guys. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah,
Soheil.
and
I really appreciate you coming in,
yeah,
and
no
thanks
worries.
for the stories shared.
Yeah.
So like Soheil mentioned, there is a class. It's sponsored by the Tech Innovation Certificate Program.
Yep.
So for any students who are interested, feel free to reach out to myself and to check out our programs at university's website.
Yep.
And I think many of the situation we want to create is to create a closed loop to bring our entrepreneurs and students together. So,
Absolutely.
thank you very much for coming in.
Yeah. Thanks for setting this up. Yeah.
This is
Thanks for setting this up. I appreciate this. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
So I think we'll end just a little bit early tonight. So then we'll wave you goodbye. Next week we'll have Ideola come back talking about 3D printing. So anyone who are interested, welcome to tune in. Otherwise, we'll hope you all have a good evening and enjoy the finally warm up the weather for a little bit.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Bye. 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 Bye.
We're going to the other room, right?